Hello everyone, Cindy Saddleman here once again with another review of a brand new show that debuted. I'm doing a lot of these in the month of January because a lot of brand new shows have debuted. Not only just in the US, but in not only the UK, we covered Jeopardy UK, Wheel of Fortune UK, and the big one, if you remember last time, we did Gladiators UK, and that show was a rip-roaring success. Over 6 million people saw that premiere. Over 6 million on a Saturday night. That's unheard of nowadays in the UK. Just goes to show you when you put quality into a show, you get quality ratings. When you don't put quality stuff into a show, and you have a show that has expectations, and it turns out to be not what you expected, you get the Australian version of American Gladiators, which debuted Monday on the 15th of January on the 10 network. I don't usually keep a tally in my mind for the year-end stuff of the best, worst, and blandest of 2024. But since we have a lot of shows debuting and we're doing more international shows now, two things. One, I'm really concerned about expanding it to five. Five best, five worst. I'll probably still only have one blandest. But we're going to have two Gladiators shows on the lists. Gladiators UK is going to rank really high on the best. Gladiators Australia is going to rank really high on the worst list. Now, I'm just going to tell you right off the top. What's the one thing they got right? Because they did get one thing right about this show. And that is the Gladiators themselves. They all have a unique personality. There's some that you want to root for. There are some that will set off a klaxon in your head saying, horny, horny, someone's being horny. I mean, that kind of goes with the territory. But all of the Gladiators are very athletic, and I feel very bad for them that this is going to be the only mainstream exposure they're going to get on Australian television, because I got a feeling this version's not going to stick around for too long. There are so many things wrong. One of the things that struck out at me as being really wrong was before I was able to track down a actual episode of this, somebody had already given up the ghost, so to speak, about the actual setup of Gladiators Australia. The 90s version was set in an arena like the UK version. We could seat about 10,000. We normally got to see about 5,000, 6,000, which is pretty normal. And it was really well done. Then we had the '08 revival of Australian Gladiators, and it was pretty good. Out of all of the revivals of Gladiators in '08, UK, US, Australia might have been the best one, mainly because it didn't over-rely on a pool and gladiators who were overly dickish. This show apparently was shot on an old Dancing with the Stars Australia soundstage with no audience. I should rewind a bit and say the Australian Gladiators revival in '08 was like a juiced up version of the early '90s American Gladiators. So it was like if we were taping it, they were taping seasons 3 and 4 at Television City and just beefed up that set. And it looked really good. But this set is not it. They tried to go and make all the Gladiators superhero style, And I don't think that works. Gladiators, at the best, are peak athletes. And they're presented as peak athletes with like 10% of a wrestling gimmick attached to them. I don't like it in the Australian version with the gimmicks that they've been given. The hosts themselves are just so forgettable. It's like they pulled I don't know the 10 News people, but it looks like they just pulled 2 anchors from 10 News and just said, "Hey, do this." And then we get to the finishing touches of the set itself. It is very, very cheap. Like, the dual podiums look flimsy. The rock wall has nothing to it. I know they have Hang Tough and they have Run the Edge or something along the lines. That event has not debuted yet in the UK. Australian Gladiators is going to have it first. Actually, it's probably, by the time this goes up Wednesday morning, I'm shooting this Tuesday night, America time, so it's probably already aired or probably on Play 10 in Australia, and it's going to be okay. But the problem is that the events are just okay. And then you have Powerball, which looks like they just imported the '08 Powerball to where you don't have to make contact, you just lob shots over the gladiators' heads and do like rainbows and get them into the bin. It just doesn't work. It's not Powerball. And another thing that irked me is the biggest thing that irks me about this show is the pacing of this show. It is padded up the wazoo. You'll get the same shots of the Gladiator locker room with them cheering. I could tell during, I want to say it was Joust or Duel. The same shot of the Gladiators cheering was used about 3-4 times. That's not good. And I timed this out. From the beginning of the show to the first event played was 7 minutes. Then it went from 7 minutes to about 22 minutes till we got from the beginning of Duel to the beginning of Powerball. This show is insanely padded. It's 4 events and then the Eliminator. I mean, come on. The UK version has the same amount of time and does 5 and the Eliminator. Why couldn't you do a 5th event? Especially in the premiere episode where we had probably a record for the lowest combined score, men and women, in any version of Gladiators. 9. 9 points between 4 contenders through 4 events. It was bad. The Eliminator itself was meh. I mean, you had the brick wall breakthrough to end the Eliminator. That's how they did it in the American version and the British version. It sucked there and it sucks here. All of the worst things from those '08 versions, minus the pool, was in this revival of Australia. And then reading the credits, I found out Barry Posnick is producing this for Australia. This is bad. I don't remember a show reviving and being as awful as this anywhere. I mean, sure, the '08 American Gladiators revival was bad, but at least they tried. Here, they didn't try. It's like the producers thought, If we give them some signature events, we'll be fine, be done with it. That's an insult to the viewers. That's the insult to the gladiators themselves. The insult to everybody who tried out for the show. And I just don't know what else to say except there's two ways I could go with this. If you're a big Gladiators fan, especially an Australian Gladiators fan, you heard about this and you're like, heck yeah. I mean, I saw the promos. The Gladiators look great. I'm glad Hammer's back as the new referee. And you see this? It's a betrayal. Betrayal. Betrayed me. Or you go more visceral. You'd be more like Angry Joe and put it bluntly. They fucked it up. You fucked it up. How? They fucked it up. Simple as that. And the ratings are showing. I mean, this is airing as a strip. It's airing 5 days a week. So, the premiere got 395,000 viewers. Fine. I don't know much about Australian ratings, but I gotta think that's gonna be okay for 10. But the second episode ratings came out, and it dropped below 200,000. It lost over half its audience. I won't be shocked if 10 throws in the towel on this and says, alright, burn them off. Rest of the episodes go on play 10, and that's it. And we're done. All of that hype squandered. I don't know what got produced first. I don't know if the Australian versions, the new Australian versions of Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune got premiered not premiered first, but got produced first, or this got produced first. If this got produced first, and Sony caught wind of this, they were probably like, we're doing it in the UK, we're producing it this way. No more meddling. And I'm glad that's the way it's going to go. This gives me some hope for, at the very least, for Jeopardy Australia, because it's going to be exactly like the UK. The UK version with Stephen Fry. I don't know what's going to happen with the Australian revival of Real. If it's going to be like the UK revival, it should be okay. I don't know if it's going to be a half-hour show or a full-hour show, but who knows what's going to happen there. But this Australian reboot of Gladiators is wretched. There is nothing to like about this whatsoever. It is... woof. Just simply... woof. Thank God I got my emergency pudding in front of me. I'm going to eat this pudding. I'm going to relax. And I'm going to try to forget that the Australian Gladiators reboot ever happened. That's how bad it was. Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for watching this review and sticking with me for this rant. Just share this on all the socials. If you've seen the Australian revival of Gladiators, leave your thoughts below. And I'll be honest, if you like this show, God bless you. Because at least somebody should like this. But apparently, nobody is. Also, become a supporter of us on Patreon at patreon.com/GameShowGumbo. At least at midnight, after midnight on CBS here in America debuted. I'm going to go watch that. Probably expect a review of that sometime later in the week. Until then, bye y'all.